Today I'm going to talk about the reasons why I left my full-time job, Providend. As some of you may know, okay, in the earlier video I talked about leaving the company, and yeah, there are many comments asking why I left. Also because I encourage people to leave comments asking. Yeah, and it's been more than 6 months since I thought it'd be a good time to give an update, and yeah, to elaborate on the reasons why I left. So I actually find it a bit hard to articulate. I think on one hand, it was a spur of the moment decision. On the other hand, I think there were some, really good reasons why I left. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to articulate out the reasons. And don't get me wrong, right? I think it's not that the company is a bad company, but I think that is probably my own personality, and I'm speaking entirely from my own personal preferences and experiences. So this will not apply to everybody, obviously. Yeah, but I think that there was a suitability of role issue for me at the company, and I was a client advisor, which I actually didn't really sign up for. But yeah, one thing led to another, and then it became this role of client advisor, and I eventually just accepted and tried to do it. So being a client advisor is not something new to me. I have been one full-time self-employed many years ago. And yeah, but I find that being a salaried advisor employed by companies a little bit awkward. Yeah, it's because, okay, when I was a client advisor on my own, people choose me because I'm Seth, and they come to me because they want my expertise. Whereas over at Providend, people go to the company wanting Providend's expertise and philosophy, which, I'm like 80 to 90% aligned with the company. But then there's always this 10 to 20% which I feel maybe I have some disagreements with. But as a salaried employee, you have to toe the company line. And also, when people go to the company wanting Providence expertise and they get assigned to me, they might not, like me necessarily. And I had some, clients that were unhappy with me, and vice versa. The feeling is mutual. And at a company level, it's a bit more awkward, right? When I'm self-employed, I can just disengage the client as and when I want to. But at the company side, yeah, we have to toe the company line. There's company policy. Yeah, so I didn't feel quite happy dealing with clients that weren't my own. And that led to a lot of unhappiness over the years, I feel like. And of course, I have clients that I click with very well, and I'm very happy to have these clients. But eventually, I think the toll of having to deal with some clients that I rather not just made me very unhappy. Yeah, and I think the final straw came when I had a client who basically yelled at me over the phone, and I thought this has never happened to me in my years of being a client advisor, as a self-employed client advisor, because I get to choose my own clients. Yeah, so I just felt a bit disillusioned, and that call was the final straw that led me to really ask for a role change. At that time, I didn't actually want to leave the company. I actually want to continue, but under a different role. Yeah, but then there weren't any other roles in the company for me. So I thought, okay, maybe it's time to leave lah. And another reason I think was also the workload over there. Again, I'm comparing it to my experience of being a self-employed advisor. And back when I was a self-employed advisor, I think I had to do a lot of things on my own, right? Like marketing, like advising clients, obviously, doing some paperwork, things like that. And I find that over time at the company, my workload started to increase, which I was okay. It was still okay, manageable. But I think 2024 was really quite hectic. And to the management's credit, right, these are issues that they acknowledge and they were trying to fix. And my experience with the company so far, okay, there might be some unhappiness, right, but they have been quite responsive and willing to fix as long as you discuss with them. But I think this is also something more unique to me, because as the workload increased, my workload from things like my YouTube channel and my website also was increasing. So it came to a point where I was working myself to the bone. I feel like doing two jobs essentially. I always talk about I was doing 3 jobs before, but when essentially 2 jobs were growing in size at the same time, it just felt very suffocating, and I had to choose one. And obviously, my own thing was the one that got prioritized because I have full ownership over it. And yeah, so I realized last year that I had to pick, and yeah, I made the obvious choice to pick my own business over, working for someone else lah. So yeah, that was another reason I feel like okay, workload got really insane in 2024. Yeah, and then now I think I'm happier, yeah, a lot happier because I get to pick the projects I want to take on. I get to pick how I want to dedicate my time and all. Okay, before I continue, please watch the ad read because it contributes to my one and only income source. So yeah, catch you in the ad read.
Here's a look at the ETFs I'm currently investing with Moomoo. The smallest holding I have is Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, and I invested around 7,186 USD in 2022. The value as of 8 September 2025 is 13,124 USD, and that's almost 20% annualized returns. I hold more in QQQ with about 19,000 USD invested in Invesco QQQ Trust over the past few years, and is now at 29,504 USD, which is almost 25% annualized returns. Finally, my largest holding right now is Dimensional World Equity ETF. I invested around 57,594 USD over the past year or so, and it's now at 69,754 USD. I picked these ETFs because they are diversified and they allow me to get the market returns in a safer manner than buying individual stocks. With a relatively small outlay, I can diversify across many different sectors and companies. These are recommendations, and past performance is not indicative of future performance, so don't follow blindly. But you can go to the ETF section on Moomoo app to look for ETFs that suit your investment needs. There is also this very useful comparison tool to compare between different ETFs on things like their performance and expense ratio. I'll be having a talk on 20th September 2025, so do register and come listen to my investment philosophy. Investing in ETFs can be volatile in the short term, but it allows us to grow our wealth in the long term. Moomoo's free regular savings plan feature is very useful for this. Set it up, forget about it, and build up your portfolio over time. Additionally, you can enjoy zero commission when trading US ETFs on Moomoo. If you haven't signed up for a Moomoo account yet, you're in luck because you can still take advantage of Moomoo's promo where you can get as much as $1,120 of sign-up rewards, so watch till the end of the video to find out more details.
So I think that was the two main reasons why I left Providend. So those are the push factors I feel. Not many really. I think I quite enjoyed myself during the 2.5 years I was there. But the push factors I think on its own is not necessarily enough to push me out of the company, but I also have other pull factors. I think one of the major pull reasons is that I find myself temperamentally not that suited for a full-time schedule. I think I've just jeopardized all future employment opportunities for myself, but I really don't see myself going back to a 9 to 6 job. And Provident, it was actually a very flexible employer. I feel like okay, we had 2 days work from home. I think there still is work from home, and of course we have work from anywhere, right? I previously worked in Taiwan and Bali on the work from anywhere scheme without taking annual leave. But I just still feel constrained by having to report to work. And I think that sounds a bit spoiled lah, but that's just the reality because yeah, right now I'm at Bali, at the drop of a hat, I want to go anywhere, I can just do it because now I answer to myself only. But back in a corporate setting, okay, you have to take leave, you have to wait for leave to be approved. And even work from anywhere wasn't quite possible because of workload. Yeah, it was not easy to just take a 2 week 2 week trip to somewhere and then work from there because there are meetings, there are client meetings, things like that. Yeah, so I think I'm just a little bit more free spirited. Really cannot stand being tied down, and that also explains why I've also stopped teaching tuition classes, right? Because tuition classes, week in week out, I have to take the class, I have to teach. So now I have a essentially remote job where I can work from anywhere in the world, and I find that entirely liberating. And I think I really am a lot happier right now because I have this time and space to explore things that I like to do, including things like playing video games. Yeah, I know it sounds, again, very spoiled, but I find that life is possibly more than just working. And I know I'm very lucky lah because I managed to, build this platform. And thanks for watching. Thanks for signing up through things. Thanks for signing up with my links so that I can continue to get income. But yeah, I think since I have the chance, the chance to work from anywhere, to call my own shots, I thought maybe I would be happier doing my own thing. And yeah, over this past 6 months, I think I'm really much happier lah. Yeah, and also to explore things like, am I happier with less money? Because if I continue taking a job, financially I will be better off, right? Because I have more income sources. But I don't think that's the goal to life, lah, right? If I all I do is just keep earning money, yeah, I think I'll be quite miserable and wealthier, but that is not a very good combination to have, lah. So I want to focus on living life when I'm still relatively young, right? I'm nearing my 40s, and that kind of scares me. I will not be eligible for Maybank XL card just in about 2 years' time. So, so I just want to do things like travel when I still can. And travel is those kind of things that you can't really take for granted. Like I was at Chongqing and walking up and down the stairs, I can still do it, but I think give another 5 to 10 more years, I might find the stairs a lot more difficult to overcome. And when last year I lost my sense of smell, I realized that you really cannot take things for granted. Like I know it's such a trivial thing, right? Sense of smell, but those months that I don't have, I wasn't able to smell anything. All I wanted to was just to find out what the smell of bread was like again. Thankfully, I got back my sense of smell, but yeah, I think it really taught me not to take things for granted, and things like youth, things like time and experiences. There are some things that you can never have again once you're gone. Yeah, so I really just want to live my life while I still can, and find purpose outside of work, right? Instead of just always being defined as, oh, the person who with multiple income streams. I just want to have some space to explore life outside of work and earning money. So one of the major concerns I had when I left was whether or not I would have enough things to do once I'm, become full-time content creator, and also whether social interaction will be an issue because everybody will have their day jobs and I will have no more colleagues to hang out with on a daily basis. And I realized that's quite overblown because, as I mentioned, my content creation has become a job of its own, right? In fact, I'm wondering whether or not to scale back because it really takes up quite a lot of my time. And then of course I have things like my Netflix shows, my video games to fill out the time. So time is really actually quite scarce for me, even after I quit my job, weirdly enough. Again, I believe in Parkinson's law, and I realized that my work has expanded to fill the remaining time that I have freed up from leaving my day job. And as for the colleague side of things, I realized that it's also a non-issue because nowadays I will just catch up with friends for lunch. So I go near their workplace and I can eat with them. I catch up with ex-colleagues like that. And also I realized that, there are people who are friends because of convenience, because you are just in the same proximity, working at the same place. And then there are friends who will just bother to meet up even outside of work. And I'm quite glad that I have managed to make some of these kind of friendships over at Providend, and also other parts of my life lah. So yeah, that is actually a non-issue. And as a finfluencer, I realized that I have colleagues. We do a lot of collaborations together. We meet each other at the same event. So it becomes like we are colleagues without really being colleagues, right? So yeah, I find it a total non-issue. So I'm very glad that everything worked out well for now at least, and I hope to continue this lifestyle. And in fact, I kind of regret not doing it earlier. I actually thought of leaving as early as 2023, but it's 2025. Better late than never. I still have a few years left in my 30s, and of course, my 40s. I should still be fit and young enough to travel the world, to do things that I want. Yeah, and continue making content. That's actually something that I find to be my main calling, lah, right? I like teaching tuition, but I burnt out over after 9 years. Day job, okay, at least I stuck it out to 2.5 years. Not too bad, I feel. Content creations, yeah, is hitting its 6 year mark already. I don't foresee myself stopping anytime soon. And as long as I have an audience, right, I will continue making videos. I'll continue making articles. So yeah, thanks for always subscribing and listening to me ramble. Okay, this is not a very informative video, but hope you watch the next one. And I'll see you in whatever video that pops out. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the time in Bali. So yeah, see you in the next video.
To celebrate SG60, Moomoo SG is giving up to 1,120 SGD in welcome rewards to new users. All you have to do is to sign up, enter code SATISFY1 and deposit just 100 SGD to get 20 SGD of Nvidia shares. On top of that, you can choose to fund 3,000 SGD for 70 SGD of rewards, or 10,000 SGD for 280 SGD of rewards, or 100,000 SGD for 800 SGD of rewards, or 500,000 SGD for 1,100 SGD of rewards, which include free Nvidia shares and trading cash coupons. In all, there is a grand total of up to 1,120 SGD just to start your investment journey with Moomoo. Check out the link in my description box for more details, and thanks for signing up, and thanks to Moomoo for sponsoring this video.